You're gonna be sitting with the penultimate. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Final block of the summit. It is a pleasure to welcome you back, and this is the part where I always start to feel a little bit sad that our time together this year at the event is coming to an end. But the best way to counter that sadness is to have a big part of the future coming and giving us hope and inspiration as we look forward. So I have the great pleasure of introducing and welcoming back to the stage today Anna Adi, Professor Anna Adi, and we have our next Gen panel. We have Maggie West, we have Iskrin, we have Nicola, we have Amelia, and we have Stephanie in between Nicola and Amelia. Yes, please. There's so much conversation around broad brush painting of each generation, and being in a multi-generational workforce, I think it's just like with anything, it's more important to have those conversations and to identify those ways that we're alike and to respect the ways that we're different. And this group has been amazing in their conversations to help bring that all to us. So as we are growing our teams, as we are looking at data, we understand that bias. We understand those needs a little bit better. So something like the generational difference doesn't negatively impact the data and how it's interpreted. So great conversation. A big reason that this is even an option, a big reason, the only reason that it is possible that we can have over 200 academics and students be here with us in a virtual capacity is thanks to the generosity of our education sponsor, Mary Beth West. So a round of applause for our education sponsor.
Clap for your mom.
Who is a proponent, a believer, someone who's very passionate around ethics, around the future, around education, and not just in words, but in actions. And that, I hope, is one of those examples that this panel and all of us can take with us. You know, it is that thread similar to the mayor who's had a lot of success, and he says, with that comes the responsibility to give back. So thank you, Mary Beth, for your generosity and for making the investment in the future so that we see AMAC as a multi-generational organization that continues to thrive and to help each other. And now I will turn the time over to this very smart, wonderful, and interesting group for their discussion, and there should be some time for questions at the end for all of you. Thank you so much.
Okay, so Jonah made all the introductions of the why, which means that I have nothing else better to do than pass on and invite our lovely guests to say a few words about themselves. So where you're from, what you study, what brought you here. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maggie West. I am from the state of Tennessee in the U.S. I currently study at the University of Tennessee. I finished my first year, and I'm studying communications. And I was brought here mainly because of my mother, and I took one PR class and said, yeah, I can talk at AMAC this year. So.
Well, my name is Iskrin. I'm the head of marketing and communications of RuPoint, and you can probably guess who and what brought me here. Obviously, RuPoint. Yeah, Nicola?
Hi, my name is Nicola. I'm Bulgarian, but I live in the Netherlands. I'm a first-year student. I studied data science. I was dragged here by my aunt, Raina. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. My name is Stephanie Mitova. I'm learning marketing and strategic planning here in Sofia. I'm also born here, and I'm here because of Iskrin.
My name is Emilia Laszlo. I'm from Vienna, Austria. I'm currently studying at the University of Vienna in the law faculty. And I was brought here because of my dad. So I guess you could say that this is the nepotism panel of AMAC.
Well, great that you bring that up, that I don't have to. I was going to say that public relations is one of these businesses that runs in families, but apparently it does. So let's move a little bit to the future of work. Now, all of you are primed, way more than anybody else in this population, to be inclined to accept public relations and measurement as a job. Now, leaving that aside, let's imagine ourselves quite quickly in a few years' time. Well, you're working already, Iskren. What are we doing here? But imagine, please, a time when you are ready, like mentally ready, not only physically ready to enter the workforce. And tell us what is important to you for a future workplace. What do you expect from it?
Personally, when going into a future working space, obviously what I think our generation really values more than anything now is respect from our peers and our employers, and having that ability to be creative and move forward in your career and have some sort of incline in your job throughout the time that you're employed there. So I think just having prospects going forward and respect from your peers is very important.
Okay.
Very fair. I would have to say the same message again, but maybe if we turn over the page to what we look for as well in companies and the company that I work for as well, where we tick all the boxes, like we have remote workplaces, we have flexible working hours, everything that you have heard that a Gen Z likes, we have it, and then still, we have some difficulties finding people, and that is a lot due to, finding your space has become, I think, a lot more difficult because there's a lot of misconceptions, especially for our industry, for young people. And if I can say a very funny story about the future workplace. We had an intern in our team, the marketing communications team, and I have a 1 month performance review meeting with her. I switch on Teams, and there she is on the beach, in a swimsuit, ordering a cocktail. So the guy is coming to get her order for the cocktail, and I was just screaming through the Teams, get me one for me as well. So the guy was very, very confused, but this is, and we had a very productive call after that. We had a very normal, productive call, regardless of the atmosphere, and it was great. It's the future of the workplace, I think.
On the beach.
On the beach, yeah. Anywhere.
When I go to Berlin, I'll tell them that.
I would just like to real quickly address the elephant in this beautiful room. I think flexible working hours is something very important for us, and I'll tell you why. I'm not the only person who had a tough night yesterday, so it was very hard for me to wake up this morning and come here at 9 o'clock. So I believe flexible working hours is number one on the list. Also, every Gen Z person wants to work from home, and that is nice. But I would advise you guys, as directors of big companies, at least the first year, make mandatory going to the office mandatory, because I think we need to learn this work ethic of going to the office.
Okay. You do realize that what you recommend is actually paradoxical.
Yes, it's a bit controversial.
You're recommending the medicine against the stuff that you actually would. Okay, I've
It's good to showcase that we're not as homogeneous as people think.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I
Taking
think
notes. Stephanie, what would you like?
I would continue this discussion with something not so strong, and I would say that it's perfect for us to visit the office a few times a week, not every week, because we need our self-care hours, we need to be home sometimes, and I think now in the digital era that we live in, especially since COVID, I think that's fully, it could happen. And another thing that's very important is for us to be able to ask questions without you being angry at us, because it's really, you wouldn't believe how hard it is starting in a workplace that you know that you're very beginner at, and being afraid to ask questions. This is the worst feeling ever. So I would advise all of you, please be patient with us as we are patient with you and your technologies.
Emily, we come to you.
I mean, I have nothing else to say. I agree with everyone here, even Nicola. And it's and about the whole home office and flexibility, I think it just really, really depends on what type of person you are. Some people really flourish in home office with flexible hours, and some people are finding it a bit more difficult. So I guess it's just important for companies to have the options available, so that we as the newcomers can choose how we want to live our work life.
Okay. Now, we haven't quite spoken about this when we've met, and we had several chats. But you mentioned autonomy, and you mentioned flexibility, and of course patience with the elderly, which is really important, and flexible working hours. But one of the other things that you've mentioned was this career prospect. Now, okay, I come from Transylvania, so I'm 120. We don't discuss this. Where I grew up, career prospect meant growth, meant not only growth, meant titles, meant incremental financial incentives. What do you expect? Because, you know, now being at 120, I don't see that. I don't see that as necessary. I think having the opportunity to grow and develop laterally, growth is not always that way, but developing laterally, learning new things, having time is something more important. How do you see that? How do you see growth? How do you see promotion? How can these people incentivize you to work with them and stay with them rather than go somewhere else?
Well, first and foremost, you are not 120. I thought you were on the panel with us as the new generation.
I'm a good vampire. I'm a good vampire. I've done well, right?
Secondly, going over to what growth looks like for this generation, I just going on, social media and seeing what people are looking for in careers is, I think a lot of people's worst fear is having a dead-end 9-to-5, doing the same thing every day, just monotony. No one is really craving that. People want the ability to get promotions, to be recognized for the work that they are putting in, as well as whether that increases financial incentive or a new title or new responsibilities. People are just craving different in their day-to-day lives. And so I think growth looks like that, having the options to learn more things, do more things, be more respected and well-known in your field. Because if you're working the same thing every day, 9 to 5, while that might be suitable for some people, I don't think in this day and age it's suitable to the majority of this generation.
Okay, let's mix it up a little bit. Steffi, Emily, what do you think about that?
I think that I would touch on a more personal growth here, because I think that is vital for the growth in work. And I believe that our work should allow us to have time to travel and explore the world, because I think that is the wealth in the new generation, not just money. We focus more on personal growth. We like to learn how to manage our finances. We love to learn how to be like grown-ups, but right now we have more opportunities to travel than ever before. So I believe that we should fully utilize that if the people who give us the work allow us to.
So check the EU frameworks on remote work, so that you know when you'll be, embezzling funds and when you have to pay tax. I think that's, for whoever's the boss, that's important, right? What is allowed, how many days you're allowed to work outside of your country seat, and when do you have to pay tax somewhere else? But, just saying. Flights, okay, CO2 we talk next time. Emily, what do you think?
I agree with both Stephanie and Maggie. Yeah, I also don't really see myself doing a dead-end 9-to-5 job and just doing the same thing day in and day out. I'd like some things to be, mix it up a bit, to change a bit, even if it's just like a change of scenery.
Okay.
But yeah.
Now let's talk about platforms, because you said, help us grow while we have patience with you and your platforms. What platforms do you use? We talked a lot about AI, generative AI in particular today, but there's a lot of automation. What platforms do you use? What are you comfortable with? Stuff like that. Do you use AIs? Do they, cook for you? Do your laundry? If you know one, I'm looking for one.
I mean, I've personally never used AI or ChatGPT or anything, but my mother does sometimes. She uses it like Google a bit. If she's studying maths with my younger sisters, and she types in trigonometry explained easy, and they'll just spit out an explanation. It's quite useful for that, but we don't really use it for anything else.
But why don't you use AI? What puts you off?
I don't know. I guess I don't really have the need to use it. I don't feel like I'm missing out if I'm just not using it. And I guess I'm also just sort of scared of me dumbing myself down a bit. So I don't want to become that person that just types in everything on AI and just like can't think or do proper research by themselves. So yeah,
Any other thoughts? Any differences? I know there are differences among you.
Yes, I'm that person. I use ChatGPT every day
What for?
for everything. I do most of my research is in ChatGPT. It helps me a lot with coding, because I still have to write code, yes. Also, I'm very bad at spelling, so I always ask him to check my texts and everything.
Okay.
And the trend I've been noticing, I would refer to my own project group, my own class at university. At 9 a.m. when I start my lecture hasn't even started, and half of the class already has ChatGPT opened.
Okay. I guess that would make for a very funny environment. But let's talk a little bit more about habits, because here everybody is concerned with how we persuade, so how we convince other people, how we measure. You do have preferences for different platforms. I mean, yesterday some of you made a comment, your LinkedIn, my Instagram. How do we bridge then, therefore, the gap in communicating successfully in the future, reaching you? How do we do that? What do you think?
Well, I think first of all we need to be, as businesses who want to communicate, who want to create successful employer branding, let's say, we need to be on almost every platform possible.
Okay.
Because we usually network on Instagram. Like when I met her, for example, the first thing she said, "What's your Instagram? Not your LinkedIn."
Okay.
So we obviously are as well on LinkedIn, but we also search for jobs at other places, like the new apps that are now. I think there's now, even in Bulgaria, there's an app called Employ, which is, I think, the employers seek you. So it's like Tinder. You swipe. You have job offers, you have job descriptions and offers, and you just swipe.
It goes that quick.
So yeah. And it goes that quick. And people use it. I think it's super popular in the young generations.
Okay, so new apps, pay attention to those. Instagram, quite a great deal. I know some of you met via a different platform. How did that go?
Well, I believe that the platforms that are trendy now, everybody uses from our generation, and we have like Facebook and LinkedIn mostly because we need to connect with the other generations.
With grandma.
Mostly. Because let's say nobody of us uses Facebook anymore. We just use TikTok and Instagram most of the time. But for example, me and her exchanges our Duolingos, which is a language learning platform, so we could see how each of us progresses in our language learning. And these are the new trends. We just follow the new apps that are on.
So we're slowly coming to an end, but here's a thing, and I think every generation does that with the generation that comes after. Has loads of assumptions, been there, done that, I know it all. So when younger, smarter people like yourselves will enter into the workplace, particularly when we think of technology, there'll be the assumption that you know these things, you eat them for breakfast, ChatGPT included, right? And that there's a knowledge of things ahead. Now, those who you're going to work with, they also have a ton of assumptions about the things that are normal, because, normal is comfortable, is repeated behavior that's comfortable. So to me, as someone who sits here at the end of the row, it means that there's a potential gap that is going to emerge between expectations on both sides, as well as on skill, on knowledge. So let's talk a little bit, because you said autonomy is important, flexibility is important, development is important. Let's finish up with, how do you expect this development journey of yours, when it comes to technology in particular, to be supported by your employers or not? Who should teach you what you should teach them? How should this learning happen?
I feel as though nowadays a lot of us have learned technology through our own peers. Growing up, I was born in 2005, and so I didn't grow up with, you know, an iPhone or an iPad or anything. I had an iPod when I was a little older. That was cool. But growing up, not having a lot of technology, as I've gotten older, I've been able to learn how to use different features, different things through my friends and those I went to school with. And I feel as though it's going to be kind of the same. As these different technologies are more widely accepted and used in a workplace more frequently, it's going to be easier to learn because there's going to be more teachers. There's going to be more people that can teach you how to adequately use them effectively. So whether it's taught in schools eventually, that might happen further down the line, but in general, I think we all tend to learn from each other.
Okay.
But I can also say that sometimes, you know, the difference in generations, especially in technology, can result in some friction. For example, I guess most of the young generation, let's say for presentations, we all use Canva because it's so much easier and so much more intuitive. But, you know, the moment I started implementing Canva into our organization, I actually had to do a lot of teaching for people who use PowerPoint, because PowerPoint is the standard currently. But imagine in a few years, you know, like let's say 10, 15 years, I guess us who have started with this technology, or whatever that may be, may not be Canva, but it will become the new standard, and then somebody else will come with something more interesting. So, you know, this, let's say, peer culture of us learning technology is actually transforming us into some sort of teachers as well. So then the clash becomes of how do we manage this?
Okay. How do we manage this? How do you think?
I don't want to do expectations. I don't have any expectations. As everybody today who is presenting on the stage said, yeah, the world is changing rapidly, and this is true. So I have no expectations. Anything is possible.
To be fair, I think that's the soundest approach to well-being. I'll take that home. I promise I will frame it. But let's talk about a little bit more of how does learning happen. So peer learning is one. How else can we ensure, therefore, that learning happens and that you stay?
I would have to back up my peers on this one. I think, yeah, I've learned everything from my friends. Yeah. So
long, suckers, you're not useful. This is, they know they're self-sufficient, so try to remember that.
Well, but I've actually, I mean, I did learn a lot of things from my friends, but also a lot from my dad's friends, or just my dad himself. I mean,
you
just
say
now,
that just
like,
because he's in the room. Is he?
No,
Can
no,
you
no,
get
no,
out?
no.
Just for a second.
Like literally, like 15 minutes ago, when we were standing there and prepping for the panel, Asim, I don't know if he's here right now, but he taught me like a be real trick, because there's like apparently like a new feature where you can do like roulette, and I didn't know about that, and he taught me. So I guess you can also learn from the older generations, even though it's about topics that you might not expect they know much about, but they do.
Press the button by mistake.
That's right. This is how we learn, right? So through failure, you discover things, and then you pretend you knew it all along. We have some 2-3 minutes left. Are there any ardent questions in the audience or suggestions? There we go. I will move from here to there, because we have just one microphone that needs to travel. So my apologies. And then I come to you.
Hello, thank you very much for your insights. That was fascinating. We talked a lot about permacrisis today, about AI changing the world, and it's very clear that adaptability and resilience are going to be very important qualities for us as communicators going forward. So how do you bring out resilience and adaptability qualities in Gen Zers? What is the best way, in your opinion?
I don't mean to sound, I don't know, cocky, I suppose, but I feel as though being born in the era that we are naturally inclined to be somewhat resilient to change. I mean, growing up, I grew up post-2008 recession, computers being put in schools constantly, a lot of political issues, and so this was a lot of change constantly occurring in my life, so it's just adapting and taking every day one at a time. And I think that's an attitude that a lot of people in my generation hold, is that you have no other choice but to adapt. You have no other choice but to go with it, because otherwise you'll just be left behind.
And also we have tremendous and very easy access to information about everything. And I think we know how to use it, so most of our peers have the attitude of, you bring a problem to us, we say, yes, we can do it, and then we go and learn how to do it. So, it's first say yes, then learn how. But we do it eventually because it's very easy to access all the information that you need.
Okay. Hi, everyone. It's Amrita here. So, rapid fire question to all of you. We are the leaders of, this industry, and we're the leaders, your leaders. I like to use the word leadership, not managers. I don't believe in line management. Can you give me one word each, please, that describes how you would like to be led by us?
No pressure, Emily.
You start, I need a sec.
Okay, yeah,
You can
let's
say
start from there.
you can say anything, just one word or one or two words that describes the leadership style.
I guess led with respect, so I don't feel stupid for asking questions.
I would say flexible.
Friendship.
Respect as well.
Strategic.
Ooh,
Amazing.
I'll say
Thank you.
kindness. Remember that you were young one day and you thought you knew it all, and that was right. And so they're young today and they know it all, and that is right. But just a warning for you, our research shows that you're becoming your parents. So careful with parentage.
If I could be Mary Beth West, it'd be an honor.
All right, well, time ran out. Thank you so very much to all of you for joining us. Thank you for being here.